Thanks, guys. Bit of housekeeping before we go any further. If anyone is now being blinded by the sheen being generated by my forehead, feel free to move further back. I actually said the same at a gig last week, and one couple did actually move further back. In fact, they kept going right to the back, out the door. They left. I'll be honest, it was a walkout. But interestingly, that same couple gave me a lift home later on, because ultimately my parents are very supportive of everything that I do, so that's nice. Like a lot of the acts here tonight, I'm not going to be doing this very long, but I've recently started a bit of networking in the comedy world. I think that's going well so far. For example, I recently did a gig with a younger, more successful act than me, which is basically everyone. And he told me to get anywhere in stand-up. He was like, you've got to do 3 gigs a week for 3 years. At that point, I told him my plan, which is to do 1 gig a week for 30 years. He said, how's that going to work then? I said, well, with respect, have you never heard of the fable of the tortoise and the hare? He said, no, but you look like a tortoise, and you've got no hair. Which, yes, felt like a low blow. But once he'd finished kind of high-fiving the comedians and the MC, I was able to reflect on that and say to him, well, I bet you didn't realise that as a tortoise, I'll be able to live for up to 150 years just by eating lettuce. I said to him, although actually had gone by then, and I only thought that later. But of course, it's a small world, stand-up comedy. So inevitably we crossed paths again pretty soon, but I was ready for him this time. I said, you look tired. Too many gigs? He said, how'd you get in my house? I said, that's not important now. I'm networking. The question here surely is, have you familiarised yourself with the maxims of Aesop yet? Because last time you met, you were really struggling. He said, look, I don't know who you are, but if you don't leave now, I'm going to call the police. I said, that's fine. Not until you've seen my act first, because you missed it last time. So I then proceeded to perform what I think most people would agree, if they could have seen it, was a very tight 5 minutes of stand-up to him in his lounge while he stood open-mouthed. Blown away. I think he was blown away. There was only one interruption. At a certain point, what I presume was his girlfriend just came in and said, why is there a small bald man in my lounge? I said, no heckling, please. It's a new act night. Wrapped up the set. I said, before I go, guys, any feedback for me while I'm networking? They said, yes, you need help. I said, well, I have considered the stand-up courses, but there's surely only so much they can teach you. No real substitute for live work, are they? They said, no, you need professional help. I said, that'd be lovely, but I'm pretty sure Michael McIntyre's got bigger fish to fry, guys. So I wrapped it up there. I'm joking, of course. I didn't do 5 minutes, I did 10. Because as I told the police when they arrived, I've got the mic. Anyway, as a small bald man, as that lady labelled me, can I just say that I very much welcome staring being banned on TFL? Yeah, nothing worse for me than finding myself inadvertently sat under one of those adverts for the Belgravia hair clinic on the tube. Sort of like before and after photo, my head sort of directly beneath it. I actually looked at the other day and there's a man not only just staring at my head and back to the advert and back to my head and back to the advert and back to my head and back to the advert and back to my head. And I noticed at a certain point he was actually filming my head at the same time. I said, excuse me, it's actually quite rude to film someone's head in public without their permission. He said, well, it's for TikTok. I said, that doesn't make it right. And frankly, I expect better behaviour from an employee of TFL. I'm single, obviously. What do you mean, no shit? The apps don't really work for me either. The last that I went on was well over a year ago, and I thought that was going to be quite interesting because it was with a girl that worked in Westminster. And to my mind, that date started well. She said, oh, you're very witty in real life. I said, thank you. I'm actually thinking of trying some stand-ups. That's good to hear. She said, stand-up comedy? I said, yeah. She said, oh, sorry, I just meant you look like Chris Whitty. Anyway, once she'd finished kind of high-fiving the barman and getting his number, I was able to reflect on that and say to her, does the fact I look a bit like Chris Whitty negate the possibility of a second date? She said, probably does. So left it at that. It's not all bad, though. I've got a positive coming up. I've got my cousin Stag do coming up next weekend. And it's got a James Bond theme. So how cool is that? So we're going to be dressed in dinner jackets. We're going to drink cocktails. We're going to go to a casino. All the Bond tropes are going to be on display. But it's fun, isn't it, really, that people are going on James Bond's themed stag do's in 2023. Does the year 1953 mean anything to anyone? 1953, yes, is the last time I had sexual intercourse, but also 1953 is the year of the first Bond book was released. 1953. So imagine, it's pretty amazing, really, isn't it? We're still going on James Bond-themed stag do's in 2023. I'm pretty sure in the 1950s people weren't going on Bond-themed stag do's based on books from 70 years before that. which would be the Victorian era. Imagine the 1950s. Come to my stag do. The theme is Great Expectations, obviously. Activities will include a walk on the marshes. Oh, yeah, great, yeah. Attendance of a church service, obviously. Yeah, standard, yeah. Probably have a game of whist and then round things off with a bowl of gruel and some watered-down milk. The groom will, of course, be dressed as Miss Havisham throughout. Oi, oi! For the purposes of banter. And all monies for the day are payable to the best man, Mr. Pumblechook. Thanks for listening, guys.